I'd like to ask you to come on a journey with me. Along that journey, we'll use our imagination to live within the scenes along the way. I'm sure at various points in your life, you felt different, like you didn't fit in. It's a common feeling, unfortunately. Access that feeling while I tell you about the first 12 years of my life. See, I was born and raised in a doomsday sex cult. We lived in communes with controlled and limited contact with anyone outside the group. We were homeschooled if we were schooled at all, and only watched TV shows and movies that had been previewed and deemed appropriate. Our parents didn't go to work. Our actions and our feelings were completely controlled through physical and emotional violence. I'd lived in 52 different houses and places by the time I was 12. Some of those were tents, caravans, and houses at communes with up to 9 other families. We lived off busking and selling the group's cassette tapes and posters for food and living. We were always very poor, often begging and provisioning for food. We sang for Indian royalty and schools in front of thousands of children, and on the streets and in restaurants. I'm the eldest of 8 children, and often our whole family slept in a single bedroom, with my parents on a bed in the middle of the room and the rest of us on the floor around. I had half a tiny suitcase for my worn clothes and a single pair of hand-me-down shoes. On top of all the widespread abuses of all kinds, we believed we were going to die when the end of the world came in 1993. We listened to acted-out tape-recorded skits of the outside world soldiers killing us in many horrible ways, being frozen on a lake, eaten by lions, or shot by firing squad. We existed in constant terror. And then, at 11 and a half years old, in second-hand clothes and a strange accent and zero general knowledge, I was dropped into the last school term of Year 6 in Canberra. I felt like an alien. The girls were giggling about who they thought was cute, but innocence was never a gift I was able to savour. I felt like a child soldier at a teddy bear's picnic, bloodied and battle-hard, and then dropped in a creche. I couldn't have felt more different. I knew I was in a hole below ground zero, and that in order to catch up, I needed to climb out and start running. And there is no fuel like the burning desire of the repressed to find freedom. And so I ran. My first aha moment was sitting at a dining table, being told by my parents that I was being pulled out of one high school and put into another small religious school. I'd finally made a group of friends, was in a band and was playing team sport. I'd spent an entire year in one school, which was a first for me. But I was being uprooted again, forced to cut my hair, leave my friends, being controlled once again, and feeling I had no say in my own destiny. I realized then that everything I'd been taught in my life before that point was all lies and falsehoods and had to be unlearned. But I also knew I had 2 options. I could use my disgraceful past, and I use the word disgraceful because I still have an irrational sense of guilt. But I could use that disgraceful past as an excuse for everything that ever went wrong in my life moving forward. Or I could use my repression as fuel to drive me as far away from the madness as possible. To move forward, to build my own life and guide my own destiny, even if that meant owning my own mistakes. There is so much fighting against us in life, we don't need to add our own inner voice to that throng. We have to be our own biggest supporter, and positive self-talk and self-compassion is critical. Now, it might make sense to think that when life started out so poorly, there would be a lot to be sad about. And it's true, the negative effects of trauma and loss can feel crippling. But I found a way through it. With every tiny improvement, with every little step forward, I had something else to be proud of and grateful for. I found joy along the dusty sides of a long road back and felt and expressed gratitude for all the good things. And gratitude manufactures joy. It makes it. I took responsibility for my own outcome. There was no path, so I cut one. There was no light, so I became one. I empowered myself by backing myself. I became my own saviour and my own answer. And looking outside yourself to fill the voids only gives control of your outcome to someone else. And seeking support, professional support, is nothing to feel ashamed of and is in itself an act of bravery. But in trauma recovery, we are our own hero. We have to become our own hero. And in some cases, every day we are alive is an act of genuine defiance. But I broke down the issues that needed to be resolved into little bite-sized pieces to prevent myself from feeling overwhelmed. Now, I wasn't always successful, but this technique helped me keep the things I dealt with at any one time at a manageable level. I believe our brains can only handle a certain amount of difficult subject matter, and breaking things down into bite-sized pieces helps make the massive task, like the one of overhauling one's moral code, feel manageable. We only have to take one step at a time, but not stopping is what brings all those steps together. Now, there's a widely accepted concept that we must strive to move away from surviving and into thriving. But I've found that they're not mutually exclusive. Well-honed survival skills are a rare and precious commodity. They're an asset. And while we would never purposefully put ourselves through the experiences that teach us these skills, they are hard-earned and fought for. They're a type of backup that can galvanize true confidence. Now, I confidently thrive because I know I can survive. It's okay if I make a mistake and fail because I know I can recover from it. Survival mode can be a superpower as long as it's used as a tool when needed and not a way of life. It's one of the many gifts of positively processed adversity. Knowing to your core that if things go wrong, you have what it takes to endure, then rebuild, is a cornerstone of true confidence. We can expect adversity. Life is full of endings, loss, and transitions. Becoming familiar with the path to and from survival mode gives comfort in times of chaos. It helps you own the ground you stand on no matter where you are. You can expect adversity, but we must not allow that to steal our now, today joy. I feel fortunate that lack and trauma opened my eyes to my privilege. I believe that the reason for trauma becoming a prevalent topic in the modern day is that we are privileged enough to be able to look at our experiences from outside survival mode, from a place of relative safety and opportunity. We are safe enough to use survival mode as a tool instead of that way of life. And that is a generational first. And it's not a luxury that's experienced equally across the globe, even today. Trauma should never be minimized, but used as a tool for self-discovery. Observe your reactions to it. See how you respond, how you self-protect and defend, and then how you rise, recover, and open up again. Where you start can be light years away from where you end up. I went from that 12-year-old kid with a brutal trauma history to being a loving father with a multi-million-dollar business. And adversity can galvanize us rather than cripple us. And we are worth every ounce of effort we put into ourselves. And we are worthy of success, no matter what success means to you. So my question is to you, are you allowing your past to define your present and future? Have you surrendered to your self-imposed cage, or are you ready to fight for your tomorrow?